everyone. I am Lisa Giacomelli. I'm the director of North Carolina Science Olympiad. We are back with another episode of the NCSO Debrief, our Q&A video series where I answer all of your questions for the 2024 tournament season. We've taken a hiatus from the Debrief because we've been in the trenches, getting y'all ready for tournaments and kicking off our tournament season. And we are just coming up for air. Well, I say that, but that's not really true because we're prepping for the state tournament. So it's a great time for us to take a day to answer all of your questions because the questions are rolling in and we're here for you. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a Division A question. For Pasta Tower in Division A, what is permitted for the glue? So specifically, are glue accelerators allowed? So there's actually nothing in the rules that limits the glue you can use. I think it just simply states construction only of pasta and glue. So that really does leave it wide open for you, and there's nothing against using any kind of glue accelerator. Just keep in mind that the more glue you add, the heavier it gets, which can be good and bad. So a lot of times you think you want to load it up with glue, but there's a sweet spot for sure as to how much glue you use to keep it from getting too heavy. All right, the next chunk of questions are all state tournament related questions. All right, here we go. Does the state competition use the state tree list for forestry, or do we switch to the national list? So we're going to use the state tree list for forestry at the state tournament. Our forestry team is incredible, y'all. Can I just shout them out for a minute? Renee Stranad and Jessica Ireland and the Forestry Association, they have done a phenomenal job on the forestry event this year at the regional level, and also they're working very hard on the state level. They've sent volunteers across the state to help at various regionals. They've sent in leaf samples, and I just can't say enough wonderful things about them. They are awesome. When will Avogadro be available to us to put our team members in and sign up for self-schedule? So this year we only used Avogadro at the state level. We did not use it at the regional level. And I actually just released login information to coaches. Well, that's not true. To Division B coaches for states in the past few days, and I'm currently working on Division C. So it's coming. Each coach gets an individual email from me with your login information. You really need to go ahead and test that now to make sure that you have access and you can get in, because once we start sending you things to do in there, like uploading your team roster and self-scheduling, the last thing you're going to want to be worrying about is, can you log in? So take a look for that email. Try to log in. If you have trouble, let me know now so that we can fix it. And then once everyone is all set up and has access, you'll get another email from me to the head coach on how to enter your team roster. I'll send you instructions and when and how to self-schedule events for those events on the schedule that specifically say self-schedule. All the rest of the events, you just follow your team number and you follow that schedule, but there's a handful of events on that schedule that say self-schedule all across the day. So you actually need to log into Avogadro and select the times that work for your team for those specific events. So information on that is coming. So keep an eye out on your email over the next few weeks if you're a state team or if you have FPOWs on your team, because we're going to need you to be pretty responsive and on top of some tasks over the next few weeks. Do the state-only events at the state tournament count towards the team points, or are they treated like trial events? So at the state level, you'll see we are running the full slate of events that was put out by a National Science Olympiad. So all 23 events are running. And yes, the state-only events will count like all regular events. They will count towards the overall team score. The trial events, there's 3 trial events: Sunny Day Flooding, Quantum Detanglers, which is brand new this year, which we're also very excited about. Please try that event. Put some kids in that one. And Mission Possible are our 3 trial events. They are open for kids to earn medals, but they will not be included in your overall team score for trophies. But those state-only events that are regular events on the national slate of events, like Can't Judge a Powder is one, Chem Lab is one, detector building is one, they will count just like all of the other events. So make sure you get kids plugged into those events. What forms are required for the state tournament? So coaches receive this information in an email pretty recently. The coach agreement form is a once per year form that the head coach fills out. So you've already taken care of that for regionals, so you do not need to complete that again. But teams do need to resubmit their photo consent forms. Same process, hard copies, signatures, and alternates do need to be included in that. So you can, if you're competing as a team, you can bring 2 to 4 alternates to the state tournament to compete, but they do need to be included in Avogadro and on your consent forms. What do alternates do? That's not a question, but that's a question I just made up in my head right now. So you can bring 2 to 4 alternates to states if you qualify as a team, not FPOWs. FPOWs, our first place overall winners, can only come as individuals. So you're not bringing alternates if you're coming as FPOWs, but if you're coming as a team, you can bring a few extra kids. What can they do? They can compete in trial events. So you just have to get them signed up if they want to do trial events. And they can also step in. So last minute, if someone falls sick on Saturday morning, you can pull them up and plug them in as needed. And they can participate in all the other fun stuff that we have going on. So highly recommend bringing a few alternates with you to the state tournament. Let me talk a little bit about our FPOWs, our first place overall winners program. So if your team does not qualify for states, but you were a first place overall winner in a specific event, looking at the combined score set, so looking at varsity and JV scores combined out of all teams at your regional, you were invited to come to the state tournament to compete in that event. And the head coach got an email. There's a list of FPOWs on our website. You should know if you qualified as an FPOW. Those individual students that competed at regionals in those events are the ones that are invited to come and compete at states. And you cannot bring any additional students to compete with your FPOWs. They need to be the same students that competed at regionals, and you need to self-schedule them if they are in one of those self-schedule events. You have Avogadro access just like everybody else. You're going to put their names in Avogadro, and they can do trial events. So they can compete in trial events in addition to their FPOW events if they choose, but they cannot compete in the state-only regular events like Chem Lab and detector building. So if you have any FPOW questions, there's the FPOW policies linked on our website. Our goal basically is just to get more kids coming to the state tournament when their team doesn't necessarily qualify. All right, I got off track. I made up my own questions there. I get bombarded with questions in my email all the time. So these are just some hot topic things that I get asked over and over and over again that I'm just sharing with you as FYI. Okay, some of the state schedules stay tentative. Are they still tentative or confirmed? So they're confirmed at this point. Probably when this question rolled in, they were still tentative. They were for a while. So your posted schedules are confirmed, but disclaimer, there are always last minute changes needed that are really out of our control. So things come up, buildings change, rooms change, they're not ideal for whatever we need, and we need to make a swap at the last minute. It happens a lot. So I need you to be, of course, you need to know those buildings and room numbers so you can plan, but I also need you to be somewhat flexible with that and know that there could potentially be some last minute scheduling, building, room changes that will come up. And we will do our very best to communicate this out to the coaches ASAP. Like as soon as we know, you will know, because I know that's a very important piece of your planning process. We are setting up home bases on Miller Field this year. All right, where are my people that came to the state tournament last year? Whew. the weather can't possibly be worse than that, right? I shouldn't say that because it probably could. It was downpouring all day, storming last year at States. And we all moved inside Reynolds. We canceled Miller Fields. There were no home bases on the field, and we moved inside. So just know that we are putting it out there that it is going to be a beautiful, warm, sunny day. It really is a lot of fun to set up your home base on Miller Field when it is nights out. But also know that we have a close eye gauge on the weather, and we are ready to adjust and pull y'all inside if needed. So please don't stress about that. We don't have classrooms available for home bases this year, but I mean, the inside of Reynolds upstairs is open, so if you need to be inside for whatever reason, you can certainly do that. But we're excited to bring back Miller Fields this year, and just everybody put it out there that it's going to be a beautiful day. All right, last question here. When will you post the events for the 2024-2025 season? Oh my gosh, this is so funny. My brain is not anywhere near that yet, but I get it. I was a coach just like you, and I was like, if we didn't qualify for states, once regional was over, I was like, okay, let's get ready for next year. So I know you want to know this ASAP. I did too. I want to know this ASAP too. I just got to survive this tournament season first. Division A, so by we, I mean NCSO, North Carolina Science Olympiad, we release the Division A rules in the summer. We start working on Division A like immediately in May/June, and we strive to get those out to you in July or August, as soon as possible, so that you can get started on Division A. Now, Division BC is a little bit different because that Division BC is entirely controlled by National Science Olympiad, so we're kind of in a holding pattern until they figure out their events and figure out their rules, and the rules committee meets and things like that. So I do know that they often release a slate of events early in the summer because everybody's always anxious and excited for that, which means they'll just tell you the list of events that is upcoming. But they do not release their rules, official Division BC rules, until Labor Day, which is a long time to wait, I know. But there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes, so I also understand. So you just have to be a little bit patient. Okay, I think that's all for our questions for this episode. A lot of state tournament questions because that's kind of where our brains are at right now. We just wrapped up our Division BC regionals this past weekend, and so we're transitioning over into state tournament mode now, and we also have some Division A tournaments left coming up. So we've had a great season so far, and we're just super excited to see so many of our teams in Raleigh at NC State. All right, thank you for submitting your questions and for watching our video. Check out the description below for ways to submit more questions. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for all of the latest news and updates. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you soon.